Hello everyone. I thought I will wanted to show you my new Betha cardigan. So I'm here, I think, just to talk about that. I'm Adela and I live in South Africa, and at the moment it is winter here. So the perfect time to finish my Betha cardigan and to wear it today for Worldwide Knitting Public Day in 2023. So here it is. I'm very happy with it. I thought while I am going to put it on today, I can just as well show it to you and maybe give you a few of the details. I've talked about this lots of times. So if you go back to my videos, I started this in March. Yes, the end of March, 30th of March, I started this cardigan. So any of my videos in April and in May will have content about my Betha cardigan. So somewhere early in March, I think I did show it, and I showed the yarns and the colors and talked about everything. So I'm not going to repeat that again. It is knitted in Rowan felted tweed. The design is by Marie Wallen, and it is out of this book, Cherish. I think that these patterns will be for individual sale next year, probably next year. It looks to me like every year after she has published her new book, she releases one of her, I think about 3 years back, that book. She releases the patterns for individual sale on Ravelry, and I think on her website as well. So this is Betha, and of course I'm not so young and lovely anymore, but I still feel very special wearing this cardigan. I just wanted to tell you the other book that I have is Gentle, and the patterns in the Gentle book are now available for individual purchase on Ravelry and on her website. So yeah, she releases it about, I think, 3 years after publishing the book. She releases the patterns for individual sale. That's how it looks to me. So it's worth the wait. Although one thing I definitely want to say, that her patterns are not very detailed. So if I think before knitting a cardigan like this, you should try and get more comfortable with color work knitting, because if the pattern is written for knitting it flat in pieces and then sew them together, she does say that you can easily add sticks, but she doesn't tell you how to add the sticks. So luckily for I'm thankful for the YouTube University. I've learned a lot there, and I've practiced last year. And if you haven't done it at all, maybe try a yarn that is not so expensive. It is easier to do it with non-superwash yarns, and knit something maybe in a double knit yarn. Like last year, my first stick project cardigan was the Maya cardigan. That's a free pattern, and I used Ashford DK, which worked perfectly. I love that cardigan, and the sticks went well. I only did the one stick in front. It was a bottom up sweater. I turned it to be top down, but it had a round yoke, so I only had to do one stick here, and the sleeves were just knitted down, so that was easy. But Betha is also a bottom up cardigan. I don't think I like knitting bottom up. I'm glad that I did it to get the experience, but it's not something I want to do on a regular basis, definitely. It is much more difficult for me to get the fit right or to know if the fit is right. Uh, Knitting it top down is much easier to, I know if, how can I say it? I will definitely, if I knit it top down, I will definitely also add sticks. So I know that that will make it a little bit more difficult to try on. But if you have a drop shoulder like this and your stick is there, it will still be possible to fit it, to see if I have to pull it on here and it fits me here, then I know it will be okay. The fit will be okay. I know now how she does her shoulder shaping. I tried to turn everything around because I was tempted to knit this cardigan top down, but I didn't understand the construction of the shaping here so good. So now I understand how it works, and I will definitely be able to do it, to turn it all around. So because this cardigan does have a lot of ease, I think, let me quickly have a look. See if I can quickly find it. Sorry, wrong book. So, for example, the XXL is to fit a bust 122 to 127 centimeters, but the finished size of the garment is 78.5 times 2. That's 140, 156, 157 centimeter bust, yeah, for the largest size. So it does have about 30 centimeters of positive ease. That's a lot. So if you do like I did, that is for 29 stitch gauge. I knitted it at a 27 stitch gauge because I wanted just a little bit softer, and I didn't want that dense fabric. 29 stitch gauge will create with a sport weight yarn like DK. So I went for a 27 stitch gauge on a 3.5 millimeter needle. So then if you knit it at a little bit of a looser gauge, you can even get more ease or create a bigger size. So I think it's possible. I was wondering about why she always just go to XXL, but I think with the Fair Isle it just gets too complicated in the grading. That's all that I can think. So I talked about it a lot. So I knitted the sleeves both at the same time with a stick on each side, and then I cut the sticks on the sides, and then I had two sleeves that was flat. So I started with the sleeves, and then I put it on hold about here because I wasn't sure about the length. That's the other difficult thing for me, is if you knit your sleeves top down, it's easy to fit every time and to get the length just right. But if you knit your sleeves bottom up, you don't really know where to stop. So I did a provisional cast on here. I didn't do the ribbing. I did the provisional cast on here, and then I knitted the sleeves both in the round. It was very easy because I could knit it on quite on 80 centimeter circulars all the time, no small circumference in color work. That's something I do not like a lot. And then I started with the body, and I had to work out for my size. I'm 100 centimeters bust, so about 115 centimeters at my widest part, and I wanted about 20 centimeters of positive ease. So that is 135 centimeters, and so that's 13.5 multiplied by 27 stitches. And that is how I worked out how many stitches to cast on, and it wasn't in the range of one of her sizes, but I decided I will just go for that. I think it was about between the small and the medium, I think, or the medium and the large. I think it was between the medium and the large. The sleeves, I stopped at the size, the stitch count for the large. And then I did the stitch patterning it's a 12 stitch patterning, so multiples of 12. So there's a few rest rows in between. So at three spaces throughout the body, I decreased 12 stitches. So I did it evenly in the whole round. I decreased 12 stitches at three different spots, and that helped a lot. So because it would have been there, it would have right down to here, and it would have sit more or less here. So by bringing it in here, you don't really have that bulk fabric below your arms. So there's no bulk oversizing here. There's still lots of room, but it's not that oversized. It's 36 stitches that I decreased. So that's quite a lot. That's well, that's about 15 centimeters, because that is the difference that I am between my largest part and my bust. It's about 15 centimeters. So that's about approximately how much I decreased. So I think that worked out well. So I had a stick here in front. I chose a stitch count that the pattern repeat will fit into. So I didn't worry about the sides, because her sections are all in parts, in different sections. So pattern ends at different stitches at the sides, and then she seams it up. I didn't worry about that. I just knitted. I just marked my back, middle of my back, and then I tried to line up my patterns here for the button band, and I tried to line it up in the middle at the back, and that's how I worked it out. So that was not difficult. It was like smooth knitting, if I can say that. And then I added sticks for the sleeves, and then my sleeve width was about 20 centimeters. So I knew that this must also be, my stick must also be approximately 20 centimeters. And at the end, because my row gauge and my stitch gauge, my row gauge was 28 rows and my stitch gauge 27. So I decided that if my stick is 28 rows, 27 rows, sorry, then it will be easy to sew it all together, because there will be a stitch for each row. And then for the shoulder shaping, she's got a step bind off shoulder shaping. I tried it for one of the front parts, and I just didn't like the look of it, so I ripped that back. So let me just start here. For the shaping here, you cast off, or you put a few stitches on hold on both sides, and then you do some shaping here. I didn't want to start knitting flat from here. So I added another little small steek. After I've put these stitches on hold, I cast it on a little extra steek here, and I could still knit in the round up to where the shoulder shaping started, more or less there. So you can see there's a little steek. There it is. Okay, so I had to cut that one open as well. So then it was only the little, not so many rows, that about that amount of rows that I had to knit flat. So it was not that much. And you do that separately for both, for the two front parts and then for the back part. And then I looked up a video by Roxanne Richardson, where she shows you how you can replace the step bind of shoulder shaping with short rows. So I did the short row shoulder shaping, and I'm very, very happy with it. So it's just short rows. You stop there and then you knit, and then you stop a little bit further, depending on how many stitches is in the pattern. And that's how you do it. And then you do the same for the back and the front, and then you do a 3 needle bind off. So it's very smooth, and I do like the effect. See if I can show you. Will it be possible? I don't know if you can see it. I think it's there. Not sure if it's possible to see, but then you do a 3 needle bind off. So you have a very smooth join seam here. Very happy with the result of that. Much easier than to stitch those step shaping to stitch them together neatly. And the arms steek, almost steek, also all my reinforcing for my steeks, I did a back stitch. I did show pictures on a small little video on my Facebook if you want to go and have a look there. And then I did some needle felting, and I think that held everything together. And then I gave it also quite a good steam with a hot iron as well to felt those stitches in the steek. And yeah, I've cut the steeks here, and then I used I grafted the live stitches. I decided to knit this pattern in as well, so I stopped there, as I said, and then I decided I think I must make the sleeves a little bit longer, and I added this little section, and then I grafted the live sleeve stitches to the rows of my armhole rows, and that also came out quite neat. Right, what else? I wrote everything down because if I ever want to do something like this again, I think I've got quite a good referral of what I want to do again. I think that's about it, yeah. And then the bottom ribbing I did with a 3.25 because I didn't want that to pull in at all. And then the neck and the button bands, and I did with a 2.75 like in the pattern. and the cuffs I did with a 3mm. And I did much more rows for my ribbings. She's got a very narrow ribbing for her neck and for here, and I don't think I didn't like that at all. And I did a few extra. I omitted her shaping here in the back because I wanted it to lift up as high as possible. I wanted the back to go up as high as possible, so I didn't do the shaping here, few rows. And then I also did a few short rows in the neck ribbing to lift this up more, even more. Because I want some warmth here in my neck. So I did think about 10 rows total, but with the short row shaping at the back there's more. I think I did 3 sets of short rows. And then the button band also 10 rows ribbing, and then she has this lovely crochet edging. I just spaced my slip stitches farther apart so that it doesn't, because on my ribbing the ribbing stretched out too much, so I just spaced the slip stitch of the crochet edge further apart. Also on the sleeves, I think it gives a very neat edging there. And yes, then I used a tutorial by Coco Knits to do the button bands, so they're almost invisible and I think quite sturdy. And luckily I had 9 because I decided on 9 buttonholes before I decided which buttons I want to use. And at the end, I looked through all my buttons, and then I think I'm going to use these ones and then these ones, and then the buttonhole I had to determine which buttons I can use. I didn't want very big buttons, so I had these mother of pearl shell buttons, and I think they're good. And there's my stick. So I tacked all my sticks down just with a backhand stitch and a lace alpaca yarn. I decided on a lace alpaca I had some. I've got quite a few colors still left of the Alpaca Delight by John Arbon. That's a lace, but it worked perfectly, and it's almost you can't see it. So I think it's neat enough. I tried to make it as neat as possible, and the fact that I have to show it here on YouTube, I think, is also a motivation to try and make it as good as I can. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I think that's just a goal I have for myself, to try and do everything as good as I can. So all the detailed after the knitting is done, there's quite a lot of work to be done on a garment like this. It's quite a big commitment. So it took me a little bit more than 2 months. I didn't knit on it all the time, but it's a big commitment, and there's so much work going into it that I think it's absolutely worth the while of trying to do all the last finishing touches to do them as good as possible. So yes, I'm very happy. I think I've said everything about it. Um, yes, I did the crochet edging with a 2.2 millimeter crochet hook, just so that it's not too bulky and too wobbly. And I did try to put as much detail on my Ravelry project page. I made a project page for this Betha because I just think it deserves one. And interestingly enough, there isn't a lot of projects on Ravelry for this cardigan. I don't know why. I know for us it's difficult to get the books. It was quite a undertaking to get the books here, and I've got my friend Amanda to thank for that, and also that she knitted this cardigan with me. We both knitted it, and we both finished it on the same day. So I think we started more or less the same time. I had my little procedure done on my hand, so I had to postpone it a little bit. She started a little bit before me, but at the end we finished it on the same day, I think, and it was nice to have that companionship while knitting this garment. So I think that's everything I wanted to tell you about my Betha, and I hope that this is something like this was definitely a dream knit for me, and I hope that you've got dream knitting, something to a goal, something to work towards. I started, I think in 2019, I made a decision that that is what I wanted to do. I want to knit myself a fair owl cardigan. So I had to practice a lot. I knitted a lot of colorwork cowls. If you go back on my uh, channel, then you will see I really knitted a lot of colorwork cowls. That helped a lot, and slowly worked it up. It's not, this is definitely not a first garment project or a first colorwork project. It's something you have to understand your body and how you like the sizing. You have to understand a lot about gauge if you want to change it. So give yourself time to learn. As I say, I think I started in early 2019, if not even in 2018, um, to work towards this. So if tell me what's your dream knitting? What would you like to accomplish in your craft? I would love to know, and I love chatting with all of you. So thank you so much for visiting my channel and for watching this. And I will be back soon to show you what I'm working on next. Have a nice day. Goodbye.